Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Carlos again with Let's Talk. So we're going to today's topic of conversation. Well, one of them, anyways, is gonna be when we went to the Olive Garden today. So overall, we're here where I live. The Olive Gardens are good, but something happened today. Not really sure what it was, but I'm not sure if it's maybe because it's recently opened restaurant in our part of the city, or if we just got the rookies. So as usual, they sit there, you give your name, they give you a time, you wait, they call you back, they seat you right. Not a big deal. So up until this point, everything's good. So we sit down. We have a waiter and a waitress. Now it's a fairly large party, so we're like, all right, I get it. One waiter's got one half of the party, the other waiter's got the other half. Okay, so take our orders. We eat. We have a good time. A couple people are like, "Hey, I need a straw," little things like that. Then it's like, "Hey, I still need my straw." And then again, my son's like, "Yo, I'd like a straw." So they finally give him his straw after about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. So the appetizer comes out, some cheese sticks, right? Fried cheese sticks. No, they taste good. They're good. Nothing wrong with the cooking. So I asked the person that delivered the food, I'm like, "Hey, listen, can we get some ranch?" "Okay, no problem." 5 minutes go by. I'm like, all right. Maybe dude's super busy and he just didn't get a chance to do it. I'm really forgiving when it comes to waiters and waitresses because of the fact that we expect a lot from them as customers, but we also expect them to, if we ask for something to get it. So, but I'm overly, I guess, easy on them because there's so many different tables, so many different people. They have to remember a lot, and a lot of times they're young kids, you know, just trying to make a living. I'm not mad at it. So never get my ranch. I ask another waiter. I'm like, "Hey, can I get some ranch for these cheese sticks?" He says, "Oh, sure, I'll bring them out." About 5 minutes go by, 6 minutes go by. Boom. Next thing you know, no ranch. I'm like, all right, cool. My drink shows up, so I'm drinking my Coke, right? Not a big deal. And then my waitress shows up and she's like, "Hey, is there anything that you guys would like?" I say, "Yes, I'd like my ranch." Bam, she's on it, gets it. Great, 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 great. So I'm eating my cheese sticks with ranch. They give us our food, right? So it's not a big deal. We're all eating, talking, having a good time, so on and so forth. This is when the fun begins. This is when the fun begins. So I tell the waitress asks us, "Hey, listen, is it going to be all one tab? Is it going to be broken up into multiple receipts?" He said, "It's going to be broken up." So she says, "Okay." She says, "So who are you paying for?" So I'm pouring out myself, obviously, and my sons. But we're seated across the tables, right? So I should have known something wasn't going to be right. I'm going to lean in for this so you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from. She looks at me like this. Again, I'm being nice. I'm trying to. I don't want to be that guy. Nobody likes being that guy. I definitely don't want to be that guy. So I say myself and my sons, and I point to them, him, and him. Okay, I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. So they walk off, right? To the waiter and the waitress, they leave. They try to work it out. 5 minutes go by. 10 minutes go by. 15 minutes go by. What's going on? So she comes back. We double check everything. Still not right. So they go back again. They're double checking things. Now it's been about 25 minutes, and we're like, "Yo, what's going on back there? What are they doing?" People are. I'm starting to get impatient now, right? And I'm like, yo, I want to talk to the manager, but I don't want to get people in trouble either. But at the same time, I'm like, well, how long am I supposed to wait? Mind you, this young waitress, she's stressing out because every time she passes by, I'm so sorry this is taking so long. I'm so sorry. About 35 minutes go by and they finally work it out. And the waiter comes up and he's like, he's handing everything out and everyone's double checking their receipts to make sure everything's good. Because on a previous receipt, they were just adding foods and they gave us extra stuff and it was a mess. They were not on their game today. So he's like, I'm so sorry about this. This is ridiculous. We're taking entirely too long. I'm sorry. Boo, 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 boo. She comes back. Me and my friend are talking. We're like, God, man, the manager needs to get involved in this. And not realizing that she's standing like a foot and a half behind us. She hears everything. And she feels really bad because, you know, we've been sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And we just want to pay our bill. So after all that, she apologized like 6 more times to us, right? They finally end up getting it right. But it just took a really, really long time for them to get it right. Now, I understand that the restaurant industry for the waiters that's a brutal work. That's a brutal style of work if you don't have it together. I don't blame the waiter and I don't blame the waitress because they're only as good as they've been taught. The manager was bouncing around. The manager really only cared if the food tasted good. And it was evident because he asked us, he's like, how is everything going? And we were like, good. He's like, more importantly, how is the food? That's important, right? But if I'm sitting there for like an hour waiting to pay my bill because the cashiers can't get it right, it doesn't even matter no more how good the food is or how bad it is. It could have been awful food, but they could have had me out of there in 5 minutes, and I'd been like, well, maybe they had an off day, you know? So ultimately, what I think happened tonight is I think they have a young staff that's poorly trained, and that they probably need a lot more training, especially when it comes to taking on larger orders where there's half dozen or close to a dozen people. Because once you get into large parties, things get more complicated. You have to, okay, so-and-so's paying for this many meals, so-and-so's paying for that many meals. And then you get into the whole thing of who's paying for what. And mistakes are made, I get that. But at the same time, where was the manager when all this stuff was happening? The manager knew something was going on because he even pulled the waitress aside and was like, hey, I need to talk to you as soon as he said something to the effect of like as soon as you're done or as soon as you get done talking to them or saying what you need to say, something to that effect. But it put her in the position where she finished her sentence and then walked away to go talk to him just to come back talk to us to finish off whatever it was she was saying. I don't remember exactly. So if all that stuff was going on, he should have known something was up because all of our plates had been removed and we were just sitting there. Poor management. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he's a young manager. Those are all things to take into consideration. But again, that might not be his fault. That might be his supervisor's fault for not telling him what to look for and not give him the proper training so that way he can train his people. Long story short, I had a lasagna classico tonight. It was good. But realistically, I should have been out of there like 45 minutes sooner than I got out of there. As always, this is Carlos. Let's talk. Talk to me and I'll talk back. Feel free to like, dislike, write a comment. If you work in the industry and you have something you want to point out, feel free to point it out. I'm not going to get my feelings hurt. Let's talk. Peace.